Hey y'all, Billy from Perma Pastures Farm, along with my good friend Ben. He's the kind of guy, he's the kind of homesteader that when I say, hey Ben, we're gonna have to bury something, and he says, I'll bring the lime.
How deep?
He's one of those guys that always shows up when you need help. And today's one of those days where we need help, so it's a mutual thing where we have the last 2 pigs on the mountain that we have to process. All 6 or 7 freezers that we have in there are full. We can't do any more with them. And because the methods we use, it creates a lot of abundance. And that's why we do these videos, to show you how to do it. So we got pigs essentially on the ground here. Now I want to be sure to point this out that viewer discretion advised, because we got pigs that we just dispatched and we got them off the side of this doggone mountain. Ben came up with a really clever way of getting them down without having any human intervention. How about that?
Bobsled.
Yeah.
Pig sled.
Yeah, so he kind of rode one down the mountain, if you will, almost literally. All right, y'all, so here's what we got going today. We got about a 400-pound boar, and there's 2 of them. There's one over there, too. Now, one of them's going home with Ben and Denise today. Remember, go check out and subscribe. Renewed Homestead. They're on the precipice of how many? What, 3,000?
Almost 3,000.
So get over there and subscribe. You're going to be glad you did, especially for all of you folks that are wondering how you build a homestead from the bottom up with a jacked up house, with all these things that they've done and that they're doing.
And learning on the fly. We're from Arizona.
How about that? So they're from Arizona in the mountains, and they just did it. So here's what we're going to replicate today. Let's pretend for a moment that you don't have a tractor. Let's pretend for a moment that you don't have trees that are close, which in this case we don't. And let's say you don't have trees, let's say a bunch of poplars out there that maybe you don't want to, hang a pig, a 400-pound pig on the side of. Or let's just say it's wild game in the field that you have to get done, or just maybe you got them back to the house. Whatever the case may be, that's what we're going to replicate today, because he's awfully heavy. And unless you have some mechanical means, whether it's, cranking at a come along or a tractor, you got problems, nephew. So we're going to gut and skin this animal right on the ground, and we're going to show you how we do it. So in a nutshell, what we're going to do is remove the head. We're going to gut and skin everything on the ground and make it a whole lot easier and manageable. Right now, it's a nightmare to try to get him up here. We're gonna release a whole lot of weight from this and make it more manageable to get it up here, hang it, and cut it down the sagittal plane. All right, so what Ben did, and this is exactly the first pig we got off the mountain, we basically made a sled out of it on an old tarp. And so what Ben did, Ben, you want to tell him what we did here?
Oh, we took half the tarp, brought it up right against it, folded over. So once we roll the pig back, then we can unfold the tarp, and it will be more centered on that tarp for us to work with.
And that's what we're going to work with. So if you were in a field, if this were elk, I mean, there'd be a lot of differences going on here. But hey, if this is what you're dealing with, 400 pounds, and you want to save your back, we're going to show you how the easy way of doing that. So all we're going to do is get him up there, and then just Ben's going to get the back, I'll get the front, roll him over. There you have it. Just like that. All right, we're going to remove the head. We can't show that on YouTube. We'll have to save that for Patreon. And then we're going to commence the skinning. All right, head's removed. Told you where you can go to see that. That takes off a significant amount of weight right there. If you wanted to hang him at this point, knock yourself out. Now, what we're going to do is go ahead and gut him. And we're going to do it on the ground. It helps when you're hanging him upside down or head side up. People have different preferences on how they do that. We typically have it, and now if this is a wild pig, you want to keep those reproductive organs down below. Some people have concern with trichinosis and things like that, and that's one way in how you try to avoid it. We usually have it with the head down, and then we split the breastplate, so we use gravity. Once we get everything cleared from the anus all the way down, then if it's hanging by its back feet, gravity kind of helps you getting all that stuff out of there. Like I said, maybe you don't have that advantage, and right now we don't. So we're going to go ahead and do what we typically do in terms of evisceration, and then we're going to move on to the next part. He's been successfully gutted, and it's really no fun on the ground, but it is what it is. Now we're gonna skin him, then we'll talk about the next step. All right, y'all, the skin is free, and he's laying on it, like Ben said a moment ago, like a blanket. So it's kind of his protective covering. There's really no junk or anything on him. So here it is. We're gonna leave him right here on this blanket. We'll probably remove the trotters, which are basically the feet. We'll get those off, and then we're gonna cut him into primals on the ground, kinda. It's a little bit different, but like I said, this is what you gotta do if you got a really big pig and you don't have the means to hang it up. This is how we deal with it. All right, so I know from experience how I want to do this, okay? Like I said, he's too big. We could probably manage to get him up on that weight rack if we wanted, but that's not the case. But right now we're using his skin as a blanket to keep it kind of clean. I know my first demarcation point is right there at that H-bone, so I'm just gonna kind of cut some of this back, and I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side. Right here where that hip makes the curve. I know it's hard to see, it's real bloody in there right now, but right over here is where I'm gonna make my cut. So I'm just gonna cut this back. And folks, these things are always much easier to do. Much easier to do when the animal is cool. But sometimes on the homestead, you ain't got that option. So right there, right across here, if you want, you can even take your knife. We're gonna cut that ham down a little bit more right here. You can even take your knife and make a mark if you need to. So I got a clean surface to work on, which is his own skin. So I already got this. So now, remember, there you go, Ben. I'm gonna use my knife to cut meat, and I'm gonna use my bone saw to cut bone. Right there is exactly where I wanna hit him. So Ben's got his legs, and I got the bone saw. Okay, so I got through the bone. Now he may still want to walk on me a little bit. And as I'm cutting, he's doing the truffle shuffle up in here. Yeah, you have to be a Goonies fan. Ben, you understand that reference, don't you?
Yes, I got it.
Yeah. So now we got him split right here. Now I can sit here and take this whole thing over. Then we'll go ahead and let him fall back on himself. But we're going to cut this ham in half. Yep. Good. So we're just going to do one of these. And as I'm looking down it, I know right here is where I want to be, okay? So it's even, to a certain extent, this is what you would do, what a lot of people do when it comes to like lamb and goats. They'll basically quarter them up this way. We're just doing it all on the ground. So right there is the center. And I'm gonna work my way through it. I'm going all the way down the tail. And then we'll use our knife where it's relevant. Bam. So, this right here is a sirloin. There's your ham, and these are massive hams. So we're gonna take these, and I'm gonna help Ben now, because this thing's so doggone heavy, we can work him, and we're gonna walk him over to the table. You all right? I don't want you to break a hip or nothing.
Hey now.
You know how you old timers are.
Yeah, hey now. I think I got you at what, 6 months or so?
Yeah, I think you're like 6 months older. I'm gonna separate the picnic ham and the Boston butt, which is basically this and the top part of it, from the loin and the belly. So all I'm gonna do, it's really this simple. These guys are gonna hold him for me, but I could do it without anybody holding it. So I'm gonna count 5 ribs down, and it's not rocket science, depending on what you wanna do with this animal. I'm just gonna count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and between ribs 5 and 6, I'm gonna poke my knife through to William This may not go as easily as I'd like it to. Okay. I'm in the shoulder, so I'm gonna go between 6 and 7. And there's nothing wrong with that. So I'm gonna come all the way up to the breastplate. And because this pig was so doggone big, this is more difficult than I would like it to be. Now, ordinarily, I could get through this with my knife, and if it were on a table, I could, but I'm just gonna use what little I need. See, I could have easily gotten through that with my knife. So now, I'm just gonna run this all the way down to the spine. Now, I missed the shoulder, and all I'm gonna do is mirror the same thing on the other side. So, I'm gonna run my knife through. We're gonna lean him a little bit that way, I think. And ordinarily I could, yeah, I'm just gonna take a couple of swipes and then there we go. Okay, so now I'm just gonna join these cuts up. And then I'm back to the saw, so we'll straighten them up a little bit. You guys are a little cockeyed.
He's sliding.
Okay, so pull them your way a little, William. Okay, so all I'm gonna do is basically, I'm not even working that hard, y'all. I'm just letting my, okay, get through that. And the cool thing about leaving the skin underneath him is that it's almost working as a cutting board because I got nothing but fat here. I'm not getting my knife in the dirt or anything else. I'm just getting through that fat, and now we're separated. How about that? Now we're gonna turn it again sideways, and we're gonna cut this down the sagittal plane.
Slide down and try to turn it so they can see the camera.
So, if we get in this
Position, I can tell where.
I was thinking it was like this. That way you can cut. Can you cut from
Yeah, that works.
okay.
So you get where I am. I'll get there. Over here.
There we go. So we've already cut the breastplate. Let's see if we can slide it. Well, I'll just move my, I'm gonna move my mat a little bit this way. And when I say the mat, I'm talking about his skin. Now, you can't see it there, but right here, I know is center. If you need to take your knife, I'll just start off a little bit and then guide your saw down. So here we go.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, do it, man.
Hey.
Here's why it's so cool to work with other folks. Ben had this great idea right at the end of me wearing myself out.
I waited for it.
Yeah, he waited. The neck is always, even if this animal is hanging, the neck is always a nightmare. No matter what, it's going to want to jiggle because it's got a whole lot of, it's got a lot of play in it, unlike the rest of the spine. And then Ben said, hey, what if we just turn him up on his side? And it just got really, really easy. So I just learned something else today, y'all. How cool is that? So now we got, let's roll it down so they can see. Right now we got the Boston butt and the picnic ham along with the shank attached. And now we got something that's manageable. One person could easily lift this. Hang on, Ben, let me help you out. Yeah, you ready? Go that back a little. This is going to be one of the more difficult cuts. And we're probably going to use Ben's method again at some point here. This is basically the belly. This is where all your bacon's at. And boy, does it look good. We got our ribs in here, and then we got our loin. That's your money cut. That's where basically all your pork chops are coming from. And then here on the back end where the tenderloin is, a part of it is, that would also be part of your pork chop. So this is going to be the more difficult cut, trying to hold it straight, but we'll manage. So same thing, we're going to basically follow the center of that spine all the way down. Yeah, this isn't your favorite way of doing it, but we could always show you the easy way, but really, if you can do it this way, you can do it any kind of way. So come down. All right. Man, I don't ever want to let pigs get this big again. All right, so we're gonna get everything cleaned up real quick. But right here, this skin essentially made a cutting board for you. Now, there's 10,000 different ways you can go about this, but this is the way we did it, especially with a pig that's this doggone heavy. We got this one over here to do, and we're about to get to it, but let's just walk over here and see how it made it easy for us to work with. So on one table, we basically got the belly and the loin, a little bit of tenderloin there, which means I might end up making T-bones out of that. And then over here, we got the Boston butt and the picnic ham, you know, and then over here we got the ham and then the shanks and of course the sirloins. Now I can easily break this down. So while that's happening, Ben and William can get started on the other one. I can go ahead and commence to breaking this down, but this is just another method of going about this. So many other techniques and methods you can do. And then also when you listen to somebody like Ben, it says, hey, let's just angle this thing a little bit, and it goes 10 times easier. Out of all the times I've done this, that's something I've never done before, and then him just looking at it made it 10 times easier. So, yeah, we're gonna get Ben's pig all squared away. We're gonna get these, we're gonna spray everything off. We're gonna make it look pretty, and before it's all said and done, this is going to be something you wanna eat. Not bad, especially with pig that only cost about 21 cents a pound to raise when you do use the methods we've talked about. So remember, go check out Renewed Homestead. Is there any other place they can find you besides YouTube?
Well, you can find us at renewedhomestead.com. And we post our videos there. You can find us on Rumble as far as videos. And we do have a store over there where we also sell comfrey and deodorant. And we've got a surprise coming up real soon on that website.
Oh, okay. I got a little bit ahead of it.
I'll edit that part out.
Okay. Well, yeah, supposedly I said a little bit more than I should. So at this point, we got pigs to get in the freezer, and they're going to have a whole lot of meat to take home today. All right, y'all, remember, we got that festival coming up. Remember, it's going to be linked down below. The Farm Where You Live Festival, 10% off with promo code PERMA, and a whole lot of other exciting things coming up. Till next time, this is Billy and Ben from Perma Pastures Farm, where permaculture is my passion. We'll see y'all next time.
Bye.